The transport ship landed at Galactic Academy Station at exactly 0700 Standard Time. The doors opened with a soft hiss, and passengers from 12 different worlds began walking out into the arrival hall. There were tall Torvani with their blue skin and 4 eyes. There were Silkori with scales that changed colors in the light. There were massive Korthari with 4 arms and bodies like mountains. And there was one human girl carrying a worn bag over her shoulder. Her name was Kira Chen. She was 18 years old. She stood at about 5.5 feet tall, which made her shorter than almost every other student at the academy. Her hair was dark brown and tied back in a simple ponytail. Her eyes were the color of rich earth after rain. She wore the standard academy uniform, but somehow it looked different on her. More natural, like she was born wearing it. The other students noticed her immediately. They stopped walking. They stopped talking. They just stared. Kira did not seem to notice them staring. Or maybe she did notice and simply did not care. She walked through the arrival hall with steady steps, looking around at the high ceilings and the massive windows that showed the stars outside. Her face showed interest but not amazement. Curiosity, but not fear. This was wrong. This was very wrong. Every other new student who came to the academy showed fear on their first day. The academy was the most famous school in the entire galaxy. Students came here from hundreds of worlds to study diplomacy, languages, science, and politics. Getting accepted was nearly impossible. Being here should have made anyone nervous. But the human girl just walked like she was taking a morning stroll through a garden. A group of Silkori students watched her pass. Their scales turned pale yellow, which meant they were uncomfortable. One of them, a young male named Velketh, leaned toward his friends. "That is a human," he whispered. "I read about them. They come from a Class 12 Deathworld." His friend, a female named Scythia, made a small sound of disbelief. "Class 12? That cannot be right. Class 12 worlds are supposed to be impossible for intelligent life. Earth is Class 12? Velketh said. His tongue flicked out to taste the air. He could taste something strange, something that made his heart beat faster even though he did not know why. Their planet has wild weather that kills thousands every year. They have predators everywhere. Their sun gives them cancer. They breathe oxygen at 21%, which would poison most species. And their gravity is so strong that their bones are like metal. Scythia looked at the human girl again. She was so small, so soft-looking. Her skin had no scales, no protective shell, no fur. She looked like she would break if you touched her too hard. "She does not look dangerous," Scythia said. "That is what makes them dangerous," Velketh replied. Kira found her way to the registration desk. A pleth was working there, a small creature with gray skin and large black eyes. The pleth looked up at her and immediately leaned back in its chair. Its large eyes got even larger. "You are the human," the pleth said. Its voice was shaking a little. "Yes," Kira said. She smiled. It was a warm smile, friendly, and open. "My name is Kira Chen. I am here to register for classes." The pleth nodded quickly and began typing on its computer. Its fingers were moving too fast, making mistakes, having to go back and fix them. Kira waited patiently. She did not tap her foot or sigh or show any sign of frustration. She just stood there, calm as still water. "Your room is in Building 7, the pleth finally said. "Your classes start tomorrow. Here is your schedule and your access card. Do you have any questions?" "Just one," Kira said. "Where is the cafeteria?" "I have not eaten since I left the transit station." The pleth gave her directions. Kira thanked the pleth and walked away. The pleth watched her go and then let out a long breath it had been holding. In the cafeteria, Kira got her food and sat at an empty table in the corner. She had chosen something called a nutrition plate, which was supposed to be safe for all species, but she had also brought her own food from Earth. She pulled out a red fruit and bit into it. The students at nearby tables went silent. "What is she eating?" Someone whispered. "It is called an apple," another voice answered. "It is a fruit from Earth. It is full of natural sugars and acids. It looks like she is eating raw meat. Look at how red it is." Kira continued eating her apple, ignoring the whispers. She was used to this. She had been on 3 different space stations before coming to the academy, and the reaction was always the same. Fear, curiosity, more fear. It did not bother her much. She finished her apple and started on the nutrition plate. It tasted like nothing, like eating air that had been shaped into solid form. But it would keep her alive until she could find better food options. A small figure appeared at her table. Kira looked up to see a feline standing there. The feline were a cat-like species with soft fur and large ears. This one was female, with orange and white fur and bright green eyes. She looked young, probably a first-year student like Kira. "Can I sit here?" the feline asked. Her voice was quiet and nervous. Kira nodded. Of course. The feline sat down across from her. She was holding her food tray so tight that her claws were making marks in the material. "My name is Miri," the feline said. "I am new here too. I am Kira. It is nice to meet you, Miri." Miri's ears twitched. "Everyone is afraid of you. I can smell their fear. But I am more afraid of eating alone, so I thought I would take my chances." Kira laughed. It was a real laugh, warm and genuine. Several students nearby jumped at the sound. "That is very brave of you," Kira said. "I promise I do not bite." Miri smiled, showing small, sharp teeth. "Neither do I. Well, not usually." They ate together in comfortable silence. Around them, the cafeteria slowly returned to normal. Students began talking again, though many still glanced at the human girl in the corner. They did not know what to make of her. She was so calm, so friendly, But deep down, in the ancient parts of their brains that remembered what it was like to be prey, they knew something was different about her. Something was hiding behind those warm brown eyes. They just did not know what it was yet. 3 weeks passed at the Galactic Academy. The seasons did not change on a space station, but time still moved forward. Classes continued. Students studied. Life went on. Kira Chen became a regular sight in the hallways. She walked to her classes with her worn bag over her shoulder. She sat in the back of every room. She took notes in a paper notebook, which was strange because everyone else used digital tablets. She answered questions when teachers called on her, always correctly, always politely. She never raised her hand to show off. She never argued with anyone. She was, by all appearances, a perfect student. This made Velketh angry. He could not explain why it made him angry. Maybe it was because she was a human and humans were supposed to be violent. Everyone knew that. Deathworlders were dangerous and unpredictable. They solved problems with force. They did not belong at a school for diplomats. But Kira was none of those things. She was quiet. She was kind. She helped other students with their homework. She smiled at everyone, even the people who moved away when she walked past. She was making Velketh look bad without even trying. Velketh came from a noble family on his homeworld. His father was a senator. His mother was a judge. He had grown up believing that he was better than everyone else. He had come to the academy expecting to be the best student, the most popular, the one everyone looked up to. Instead, everyone was talking about the human girl. "Did you see her test score in xenolinguistics?" Students would whisper. "She got perfect marks. She speaks 14 languages. She helped me understand the gravity equations," others would say. "She explained it so simply. She is actually very nice." Nice was not a word that should be used to describe a Deathworlder. It was wrong. It was unnatural. It had to be fake. Velketh decided that he needed to expose her. He needed to show everyone what humans were really like. He needed to make her show her true nature. He gathered his friends in his private room one evening. There was Draxus, a Korthari with 4 massive arms and a brain that was mostly empty. There was Tolik, a Venthri with pale skin and eyes that glowed in the dark. And there was Bren, another Silquari from a family that was allied with Velketh's family. "I am tired of the human," Velketh said. He was sitting in his chair like it was a throne. "She acts like she belongs here. She acts like she is one of us. But she is not. She is a Deathworlder. She is dangerous." Draxus cracked his knuckles. The sound was very loud. "You want us to hurt her? I want us to test her," Velketh said. "I want to push her until she breaks, until she shows everyone what she really is. Deathworlders cannot control their violent instincts. It is biological. If we make her angry enough, she will attack us. And then she gets expelled," Tolik said, understanding. "And we are heroes for exposing a dangerous creature." "Exactly." Bren looked less certain. "What if she does not attack? What if she really is peaceful?" Velketh laughed. His scales turned a dark orange color, which showed his confidence. Then we have other options. The East Corridor has been having problems with its security cameras. They glitch and stop recording for minutes at a time. If the human will not show her true self in public, we will have a private conversation with her. The others understood what he meant. They smiled. They were the sons of noble houses. They had never faced consequences for anything in their entire lives. This would be easy. Over the next few days, they began their plan. First, they tried small things. Draxus, accidentally, kicked Kira's chair during class. She did not react. She just moved her chair forward a little and continued taking notes. Then Tolek spread rumors about her. He told people that he had seen her eating live animals in her room. He told people that she had threatened him. None of it was true, but some students believed him anyway. Kira heard the rumors. She did not respond to them. She did not get angry. She did not confront anyone. She just continued going to class, helping other students, eating her strange earth foods in the cafeteria. Velketh tried harder. He convinced one of the younger Silkori students to steal Kira's notebook. The young student did it during lunch and brought the notebook to Velketh. Velketh opened it, expecting to find something dark. Plans for violence, angry writings, evidence of the monster inside her. Instead, he found class notes, drawings of flowers, a letter to someone called Mom that talked about how beautiful the stars looked from the station, poetry about rain and mountains and oceans. He threw the notebook in the garbage. The next day, Kira came to class without her notebook. She looked sad, which was the first real emotion Velketh had seen from her besides happiness. But she did not accuse anyone. She did not demand answers. She just borrowed paper from Miri, her felony friend, and continued taking notes. This made Velketh even angrier. Why would she not react? Why would she not fight back? We have to do something bigger, he told his friends that night. Something that will force her to respond. I have an idea, Draxus said. His eyes were dark and cruel. The little Fellini she is friends with. Miri. She is small and weak. If something happened to Miri, the human would have to respond. Velketh smiled. His tongue flicked out. He could almost taste victory. Perfect, he said. We make Miri cry. We make sure the human sees it. And then we see what a Deathworlder really does when someone hurts her friend. The plan was set. They would act tomorrow, after advanced gravitational physics. They would corner Miri in the hallway. They would scare her, maybe push her around a little. Nothing too serious. And when the human came to save her friend, they would finally see the monster behind the smile. Velketh went to sleep that night feeling satisfied. He dreamed of watching the human get expelled. He dreamed of being praised for protecting the academy from a dangerous creature. He did not dream about what might happen if the human was more than she appeared to be. That was his first mistake. The next day started like any other day. Students went to their classes. Teachers gave their lectures. The space station continued its slow rotation around the distant star. Kira sat in the back of advanced gravitational physics, taking notes in a new notebook. Miri sat next to her, copying diagrams from the holographic display. They had become good friends over the past 3 weeks. Miri was nervous and shy, but she was also funny and smart. Kira enjoyed her company. She also knew that someone had been watching them. Kira had noticed Velketh and his friends weeks ago. She had seen the way they looked at her. She had heard the rumors they spread. She had known, from the very first day, that they would eventually try something. Humans were good at noticing threats. It was part of their biology. For millions of years, they had survived on a planet full of predators by watching, listening, and preparing. Kira's ancestors had looked up at rustling bushes and known whether it was the wind or a tiger. They had watched the patterns of birds to know when storms were coming. They had studied the movements of rival tribes to know when attacks would happen. Kira had studied Velketh the same way. She knew he was dangerous, not because he was strong, but because he was weak and did not know it. Weak people who believed they were strong were always the most dangerous. When class ended, Kira packed her bag slowly. She watched Velketh and his friends leave the room. She saw how they moved, how they positioned themselves. They were planning something for today. Miri stood up and stretched. "Do you want to get dinner together?" she asked. "I would like that," Kira said. "But first I need to go to the East Corridor. I have to check something." "The East Corridor?" but there is nothing there except old maintenance tunnels. I know. I will be quick. Meet me at the cafeteria in 30 minutes. Mary nodded, though her ears showed confusion. Okay. Be careful. Kira smiled. Always. She walked out of the classroom and turned left, toward the east corridor. She knew exactly where she was going. She had walked this path several times over the past week, always at different times, always paying attention to the security cameras. The cameras in this section had been glitching for months. Station maintenance had tried to fix them many times, but the problem always came back. The cameras would work for a while, then stop recording for minutes at a time. It was random, unpredictable, or at least, it had been random. Kira had spoken to a friend in the engineering department, a young Makani named Crix who was very good with machines. She had asked him about the cameras. He had explained how they worked, how they failed, and how someone might make them fail on purpose if they wanted to. She had not asked him to do anything, but she had learned. Now, as she walked into the east corridor, she pressed a small button hidden in her sleeve. It was a simple device that Crix had given her. It sent a signal that would make the cameras glitch for exactly 10 minutes. 10 minutes was more than enough time. The corridor was empty and cold. The lights were dim, only emergency strips running along the floor. The walls were made of bare metal. The air smelled old and recycled. It was the perfect place for a secret meeting, or for something worse. Kira walked until she reached the middle of the corridor. Then she stopped. She did not turn around. She just waited. Footsteps echoed behind her. 4 sets of footsteps, heavy ones that belonged to Draxus, quick ones that belonged to Tolik and Bren, and careful ones that belonged to Velketh. Human, Velketh called out. His voice bounced off the metal walls. Kira did not turn around. I know you can hear me, Velketh continued. We want to talk to you. About cultural exchange. Is that what you call it? Kira said. Her voice was calm and quiet. Cultural exchange? More footsteps. Kira heard them spreading out, moving to block both ends of the corridor. Standard formation for trapping someone. She had read about it in her father's books on military tactics. Her father had been a soldier before becoming a diplomat. He had always said that the best diplomats were the ones who understood war. You could not negotiate peace if you did not understand violence. Turn around, Velketh said. Look at us when we speak to you. Kira turned around slowly. The 4 of them stood there, trying to look intimidating. Draxus was the biggest. His 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. Tolik's eyes glowed red in the dim light. Bren looked nervous, his scales changing colors rapidly, and Velketh stood in front, his tongue flicking out to taste the air. You have been here for 3 weeks, Velketh said, and you act like you belong here, like you are one of us. But you are not. You are a Deathworlder, a monster wearing soft skin. I see, Kira said. We know what you really are, and we are going to make everyone else see it too. Draxus stepped forward, reaching out with one of his massive hands toward Kira's shoulder. The lights flickered. It was just for a moment. Half a second. A tiny glitch in the power system. When the lights came back on, Kira had moved. She was no longer in front of Draxus. She was beside him, 3 feet to the left, standing perfectly still. No one had seen her move. Draxus froze. His hand was still reaching out, grasping at empty air. How did you? He started. Did you know? Kira said, her voice still calm, still quiet, that humans evolved as persistence hunters? Another flicker. When the lights returned, she was in a different position again, closer to Velketh, still smiling. We did not run faster than our prey. We could not. Early humans were slower than almost everything else on Earth, but we had something other predators did not have. Flicker. She was even closer now. Tolik made a small sound of fear. Endurance. Patience. We would follow our prey for hours, days. We would walk while they ran, and when they had to stop, when their hearts were about to give out from exhaustion, we would be there. Still walking. Still coming. The lights flickered one more time. When they came back on, Kira was standing directly in front of Velketh, close enough to touch, close enough that he could see every detail of her face. Her smile had not changed, but her eyes had. They were darker now, deeper, the eyes of something very old and very patient. Do you want to know the most important thing about humans, Velketh? She whispered. He could not speak. He could not move. His body had frozen completely. Every instinct he had was screaming at him to run, but his legs would not obey. Kira leaned in closer. We have very good hearing. I could hear your plans from across the cafeteria yesterday. I know what you were going to do to Mary. The color drained from Velketh's scales. The security cameras are not glitching by accident. Kira continued. I asked for privacy. I wanted to have this conversation with you alone, without witnesses, without evidence. She tilted her head slightly. The movement was too smooth, too controlled, like a predator watching prey. Now let me tell you what is going to happen next. The corridor was silent. The kind of silence that comes after thunder, when the world holds its breath and waits for what comes next. Velketh could not move. His body was frozen in place, every muscle locked tight. Behind him, he could hear his friends breathing fast and shallow. He could smell their fear, sharp and sour in the recycled air. He could smell his own fear too. Kira stood in front of him, close enough that he could see the small details of her face. The tiny lines around her eyes, the way her hair caught the emergency lights, the steady rhythm of her breathing, slow and controlled, like she was resting instead of threatening. That was the worst part. She was completely calm. Her heart was not racing. Her hands were not shaking. She looked like she was having a normal conversation, not cornering four people who had planned to hurt her friend. Let me tell you a story, Kira said. Her voice was soft, almost gentle. On Earth, there is an animal called a cat. Small, fluffy, very popular as pets. Humans love them. She paused, letting the words hang in the air. Cats are predators. They hunt small animals for fun, not just for food. They play with their prey before killing it. They are, by any measure, dangerous creatures. Draxus shifted behind Velketh. The big Korthari was looking for a way out, but Kira had positioned herself perfectly. She was between them and the only clear exit. But humans keep cats in their homes anyway, Kira continued. We let them sleep in our beds. We let them near our children. Do you know why? No one answered. Because we are more dangerous than they are. And we know it. And they know it too. She took a step back, giving Velketh a little more space. He still could not move. The same is true for every predator on Earth. Lions, wolves, bears, sharks. We hunted them all. We pushed them to the edges of our world. The ones that survived are the ones that learned to be afraid of us. She turned slightly, looking at Draxus, then at Tolik and Bren. Her gaze moved over them like water, smooth and unhurried. You think I am dangerous because I come from a death world? You are right. I am dangerous, but not in the way you think. She walked toward Draxus. The big Korthari tried to step back, but his legs were shaking too hard. He stumbled against the wall and stayed there, pressed against the cold metal like he was trying to push through it. I could hurt you right now, Kira said. I am smaller than you, yes. Weaker in pure strength, yes. But I know exactly where to hit your body to cause the most pain. I know which nerves to press to make your arm stop working. I know how to use your own weight against you. She looked up at him, and for a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Something old and cold and patient. I trained in 3 different fighting styles before I turned 16. My father taught me. My mother taught me. My grandmother taught me. On Earth, everyone learns to fight. Because on Earth, there is always something trying to kill you. She turned away from Draxus and walked back to the center of the corridor. Her movements were smooth and controlled, each step placed with perfect precision. But I am not going to hurt you. The words hung in the air. Velketh felt confusion mixing with his fear. You are not? He managed to say. No. Kira turned to face him again. I'm going to give you a choice instead. She raised one finger. Option 1. You walk out of this corridor right now. You leave me alone for the rest of the semester. You leave Miri alone. You leave all the students you have been bullying alone. You become better people. And we never speak of this again. She raised a second finger. Option 2. You refuse. You continue your plans. You try to hurt me or my friends. She smiled, and the smile did not reach her eyes. And I will dedicate every moment of my free time to making your lives very, very difficult. Tolik found his voice. You would not. You would get expelled. Would I? Kira tilted her head. I am very good at not getting caught. I learned from the best. My mother is a diplomat. My father was special forces. Between the two of them, they taught me how to win battles without ever throwing a punch. She began to pace slowly, her eyes never leaving them. I could find out secrets about your families. Noble houses always have secrets. I could spread them at just the right moment to cause the most damage. I could make friends with the right people, people who have power, people who have connections. I could make sure that every opportunity you hoped for suddenly disappears. She stopped pacing. Or I could do something simpler. I could wait. Humans are very good at waiting. I could wait until you felt safe, until you forgot about this conversation. And then, one day, when you least expect it, I could remind you. The silence stretched out. Seconds felt like hours. But I do not want to do any of that, Kira said. Her voice changed, becoming warmer again, almost sad. I do not want to be your enemy. I came here to learn, to make friends, to show that humans can be trusted, that we are not the monsters everyone thinks we are. She looked at Velketh directly. Her eyes were soft now, open and honest. I know why you hate me. You are scared. Everyone is scared of humans. We look weak, but something deep inside you knows we are not. That fear makes you angry. That anger makes you want to hurt me. It is easier to hate something than to admit you are afraid of it. Velketh felt something strange happening inside him, something he had never felt before. It took him a moment to recognize it. Shame. But here is the truth, Kira continued. I am scared too. I am the only human at this academy. Everyone looks at me like I am about to attack them. Every day, I eat alone, except for Miri. Every night, I wonder if I made a mistake coming here. She smiled, and this time it was a real smile, small and tired. We could be enemies. We could spend the rest of the semester fighting each other. Or we could be something else. We could be people who started wrong and decided to start again. She held out her hand toward Velketh. It was a human gesture of peace, an offer of friendship. It is your choice. The corridor was silent again. But this time, it was a different kind of silence. A waiting silence, a hopeful silence. Velketh looked at her hand. He looked at her eyes. He saw no tricks there, no hidden anger. Just a tired girl far from home, offering him a chance to be better than he had been. Slowly, his scales changing from fear-white to something calmer, he reached out and took her hand. The next morning, the sun rose over the Galactic Academy station. Or rather, the station rotated to face the distant star that served as its sun. Either way, a new day began. Students walked through the corridors on their way to class. They talked about homework and tests and weekend plans. Everything seemed normal. Everything seemed the same as every other day. But something had changed. Velketh arrived at advanced xenolinguistics early. He sat in the front row, directly in front of the teacher's desk. His scales were a calm blue color, the color of peace and contentment. He had his notebook open and his writing tool ready. When Professor Yithmara entered the room, all 17 of her eyes fixed on Velketh in surprise. In 3 years of teaching, she had never seen him sit in the front row. She had never seen him look eager to learn. Good morning, Professor, Velketh said politely. I was wondering if I could ask some questions about yesterday's lesson. I want to make sure I understand it correctly. The professor's eyes blinked in different patterns, showing her confusion, but she nodded and began to answer his questions. Other students noticed too. They whispered to each other as they took their seats. What happened to Velketh? He looks different somehow. Is he sick? The whispering stopped when Draxus entered the room. The massive Korthari walked past his usual seat in the back and sat down next to Velketh in the front row. He pulled out his notebook. He smiled at the professor. Draxus had never smiled at a teacher in his entire life. More students arrived. Tolik and Bren came in together, looking nervous but also somehow lighter. They sat near their friends in the front. They did not make any mean comments about the other students. They did not push anyone or kick anyone's chair. Finally, Kira entered the room. She walked to her usual seat in the back corner. Miri was already there, saving a spot for her. As Kira passed Velketh's desk, something small happened. Something that most people did not notice. Velketh nodded at her. Just a tiny movement of his head. A sign of respect. Kira nodded back. Then she continued to her seat and sat down like nothing unusual had happened. Miri noticed, though. Her big ears twitched with curiosity, and her whiskers moved in patterns that showed confusion. "Did Velketh just greet you?" Miri whispered. "He did," Kira said. "But he hates you. He has been spreading rumors about you for weeks. People can change." Miri stared at her friend. She knew something had happened. She could smell it on everyone in the room. The fear that used to surround Velketh and his friends was gone. In its place was something new. Respect? Caution? She was not sure. "What did you do?" Miri asked. Kira opened her notebook to a fresh page. "I had a conversation with them." "A conversation?" "Yes. Just a conversation?" Kira smiled, the same warm smile she always had. "Just a conversation. Words are very powerful, Miri. More powerful than claws or teeth or forearms. The right words at the right time can change everything." Class began. Professor Yithmara started her lecture on the grammar structures of the Venthari language. Students took notes. Velketh asked intelligent questions. Draxus tried to answer one and got it wrong, but the professor praised him for trying. After class, something even more unusual happened. Velketh approached Miri in the hallway. The small Fellini's fur stood up on end, her instincts telling her to run. But Kira was beside her, calm and steady. So she stayed. "I owe you an apology," Velketh said. His voice was quiet, almost shy. "Last week, I made you cry. I said cruel things about your homeworld and your family. It was wrong. I am sorry." Miri's ears flattened in shock. Her mouth opened and closed several times, but no words came out. "I do not expect you to forgive me," Velketh continued. "I just wanted you to know that I was wrong, and I will not do it again." He bowed slightly, a formal gesture of apology in his culture. Then he walked away, joining his friends who were waiting down the hall. Miri turned to Kira. Her green eyes were wide with amazement. "What kind of conversation did you have with them?" Kira laughed softly. "An honest one." The rest of the day passed in a strange new peace. Students who had been afraid to walk past Velketh's group now found themselves being greeted politely. A young pleth who had been doing Bren's homework received an apology and an offer of actual help with studying. A Makani who had been mocked for his species was invited to sit at lunch with the group. Word spread quickly through the academy. Something had changed. The four bullies were acting like completely different people. No one knew why. Theories spread. Maybe they had been threatened by the administration. Maybe their families had cut off their allowances. Maybe they had been replaced by shapeshifters. No one guessed the truth. No one suspected that a human girl had done what years of punishments and warnings had failed to do. That evening, Kira sat in her room writing a letter. Her new notebook was open on her desk, filled with neat handwriting and careful diagrams. The stars outside her window glowed softly in the endless dark of space. She wrote, "Dear Mom and Dad, my first month at the academy is almost over. I have made some friends and learned a lot. The classes are challenging but interesting. The food is terrible, but I brought enough supplies from home to survive. Something happened this week that I think you would be proud of. Some students were causing problems. They were bullying others and planning something worse. I could have reported them to the administration. I could have fought them. Either option would have been easy. Instead, I remembered what you taught me. A true diplomat finds the solution that helps everyone. A true warrior knows that the best victory is the one where no one has to fight. I had a conversation with them. I showed them who I really am. And then I gave them a choice. They chose to be better. I do not know if it will last. People are complicated. But today, they apologized to the students they hurt. Today, they tried to be kind instead of cruel. And today, I proved that humans can solve problems with words instead of violence. I think I am going to like it here after all. Love, Kira." She folded the letter and placed it in an envelope. She would send it tomorrow when the communication satellites were aligned with Earth. As she got ready for bed, she thought about Velketh, about the fear in his eyes that had slowly changed to understanding, about the way he had taken her hand in that cold corridor. Change was possible. Growth was possible. Even for people who had spent their whole lives believing they were better than everyone else. That was the real lesson she had learned on Earth. Not how to fight, not how to survive, but how to see the possibility for good in everyone, even when they could not see it in themselves. Humans were dangerous, yes, but their greatest danger was not their strength or their endurance or their persistence. It was their stubborn, unshakable belief that things could be better, that people could be better, and that sometimes, all it took was one person willing to have an honest conversation in a dark corridor, when no one else was watching. Kira turned off her light and looked out at the stars. Tomorrow would be another day at the academy. Another day of classes and homework and cafeteria food that tasted like nothing. But it would also be another day of possibilities. And that was enough.